Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leanna if you're new, and today I'm going to show you how I achieve this everyday hair and makeup look. This is definitely my go-to look recently. I feel like it's subtle yet elegant and fitting for any occasion. It's very versatile. For my hair, I'm flipping my ends outwards now and it just makes me feel pretty as frick, so let's just get started with the makeup. Everything is linked in the description box as always. Alrighty, so I'm starting out with eyebrows because I pretty much never wear foundation, so it just makes sense to start there. And I'm going to take my time and be really careful with where I'm placing my strokes. And I'm going in with a light hand and making sure to go along with the general shape of my brow, because although I would like my brows to be a little higher, especially at the arch, it kind of doesn't work if I put the product higher because my brows tend to droop throughout the day and it just looks bad. Brow gel is only so strong, so lately I've been putting in the effort to really trace where my brow is already. I've definitely thought about shaving the tail end of my brow so I can have more of a lifted look, but I don't feel like doing that. I feel like I would never be able to sport a no makeup face ever, and that is something I for sure want to do, so I just gotta deal with my tail feathers, I guess. And for brow gel, I'm going to use this clear one from Essence. TikTok actually put me on this. It's pretty good. I'm enjoying it so far. I used to use a tinted brow gel, but the bad thing about that is that you can't really put it all over the place because then the color will get everywhere and make a mess. But with a clear one, you can be really liberal with it and kind of laminate your brows to your face. So I definitely recommend a clear one. And with this, I'm not brushing my brows up too high either, just kind of going with the natural direction of my brow growth and lifting the droopy parts a teensy little bit. The thing with brow gel I found is that you gotta touch it to your skin if you really want a nice hold. Like if you just brush your eyebrow hairs with it without touching the skin underneath, it's not as effective. So the next thing is concealer, and I don't use a huge amount, just as much as I need to brighten up the under eye a little bit, and then I pat it in with a brush. My concealer shade is more or less my skin color. I buy concealer to cover stuff up, not really to highlight any areas, so it doesn't need to be super light for me. A beauty blender would probably be a lot more practical here, but I just prefer a brush for sanitary reasons. And I just blend the concealer down into my cheeks, and this edge doesn't have to be seamless because I'm gonna go in with some blush on top of it, so it's gonna look fine. But before we do cheeks, let's start on the eye makeup. So I'm going to take this neutral brown in my eyebrow pomade kit and use that as a transition shade, and it's a good idea to keep the shadow tight at first and then smoke it out at the end instead of being overly ambitious at the beginning. I just really take my time to make sure everything is even and nothing is patchy and all the edges are seamless, and I go back and forth between the two eyes just to make sure they're even, and I just create this slightly winged out look. Definitely don't be afraid to mess up because you can always go back in with a clean brush and just kind of clean things up. I do this all the time. Then I'm going to take this denser eye brush and just pack this darker brown shade into my outer V, and then I'm going to take that same brush that I used for my transition shade and blend that out in the same winged out shape. And then put on some gold with a round flat brush, starting from the inner corner and going a little past the middle of my eyelid, and just making sure that the gold just kind of seamlessly dissipates into the darker brown. If necessary, you can also add more darker brown after the gold to help with the blending. I'm gonna skip putting anything on the lower lash line because I find that it closes your eyes quite a bit, and smoking out that lower lash line is great for sultrier and smokier looks, but leaving the lower lash line blank really makes for an open and awake look, which I really like for every day. Now I have a double eyelid, so if I open my eyes while the liner is still wet, that is a recipe for disaster and it will get everywhere. So I am raising my eyebrows very high and not opening my eyes all the way, hence the facial expression. But yeah, it's not a huge wing. I would say it's an average sized wing. I take the liner and just start from the outer edge and just drag it inwards, and then the rest is pretty self-explanatory. I actually suck at explaining, but you can watch me do it. Usually at this point I would probably clean up that edge of the eyeshadow right underneath the winged liner, but I don't always do that. The clean edge is a nice look and it's very cut, but I just felt like going for more of a blended out look, like a softer look. It's a lot more soft. That was not very concise. The next thing is mascara. I usually like to wear falsies, so I put just enough to coat my natural lashes once, and what this does is create a platform for the falsies to sit up and not droop down. I have very straight downward pointing lashes and they're very short, so I don't really bother with an eyelash curler because I know it's not going to do anything. So this is what I do. And I almost forgot, but can't forget to highlight. This is actually an eyeshadow from the Natasha Denona palette, and it's a really pretty pearly shade with gold in it. I put this in my inner corner brow bone and just kind of blend some onto my cheekbones. I've been putting highlight on before my blush lately, and that makes for a more subtle cheekbone highlight since the blush goes on top of it. But there's literally no reason that I'm doing that except that I'm lazy and I just want to do all the highlighting at once. After this comes falsies, and how I like to do this is stick on the outer edge first, let go, and then stick on the inner edge. And I find that doing this instead of just applying the whole lash at once helps prevent that annoying gap between real lashes and fake lashes. And now it's time for the blush, and here's a trick that I learned about recently, which is using bronzer as blush, and it really just contributes to the whole neutral color scheme that we're going for. I just take a really fluffy brush and just kind of dab it all over my cheeks and also my nose, and this pretty much covers the edge of that concealer from earlier. Using bronzer instead of blush gives you kind of a healthy, sunny glow look, I guess, so that's fun. And I didn't do this, but if you use the same color on your cheeks as you did with your eyeshadow, it makes it look super nice and cohesive and natural as well. And then for the finishing step, I'm going to use some lip liner. This is a pretty nudie color, and I'm just going to trace it on my lip line. And I'm going to take this lipstick, which is more or less the same color as the lip liner, and put it all over. And for some extra dimension, I go in with a darker lip liner and color in the edges. Alright, so that's the makeup, and now we're going to do hair. So I'm going to section it into two sections, and how I'm going to do this is just straighten it normally until the very end, where I'll flip the straightener like this and then pull my hair through, and it creates this flipped look, and really that's all. I used to do an inward flip, but I find that an outward flip is so much sassier and elegant, and I'm obsessed, so I'm an outward flip girl now, even though it makes me look like I'm low-key from the 60s, but whatever. Also, ever since I saw Queen's Gambit, I have become a fan of Beth's hair, and I'm obsessed with how it's flipped, and it just makes me want to do that, so yeah. So I wash my hair every 4 days, and in this video I had just washed my hair the night before, and what I use is this moisturizing cream that is also a heat protectant, and I just put it in my wet hair, and it's still there from the previous day, so I didn't really bother with putting anything in my hair before I went in with the straightener. But if it's day 2 or 3 or even 4 and I'm using heat on my hair, I'll just spray this heat protectant real quick just to protect my hair. And I don't put hairspray after I do this hairstyle or anything, just because the less products I have in it, the better. It just feels cleaner and it makes it easier for me to make it to day 4 before washing again. The ends do straighten out a little bit by the end of the day, but it's nothing super dramatic. So yeah, this hairstyle has been pretty low maintenance and super easy, much easier than curling my entire head of hair, and I just really like how it looks. And that brings me to the end of this video. This is my everyday hair and makeup, but I sure as hell don't look like this every day, maybe 1 or 2 times a week. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!